Should we all introduce ourselves?
Are you going first?
This is Sam, Jordan, and Thomas, and you can't see them, but they're here in person. Maybe.
I actually kind of like that. I'm glad I'm recording right now, actually.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
All right. We were Group 4 of Sierra High School. We worked with Mrs. Yee in her classroom. The school itself was very interesting in the layout as well as how it was decorated. Pretty much all throughout the school, there were different pieces of art that were very urban in nature, done by the kids. They were posted on walls, actually painted to them, or they were painted on boards and put on windows. Pretty much the entire school was covered with different ways that the kids have been able to branch out and be themselves, and gives them an outlet so they wouldn't be doing something that could be destructive later on. Our cohesiveness as a group started out a bit rocky. We haven't had much experience with each other, but the more that we were able to progress along this assignment, the more we were able to actually work as a unit and as a group, and we were able to use that to better impact the kids. The positive forces that we were able to enhance was our cohesiveness, like I stated, brainstorming and diversity. All of us were very different people. We all have very different ways that we taught, and using that, we were able to brainstorm different ideas coming from different viewpoints, which really helped us in the long run to actually be able to branch out to these kids who have different thought processes. Some negativity that was in our group was role conflict in the classroom, like leadership, as well as being the equality of our group as a whole, simply because we are all in the same class and we are all considered equals. Sometimes they were a bit conflicting in the classroom just because someone would be leading, and then we would still feel like equals just because we have that nature of the classroom. Some common set of norms that really helped us as a team was respecting each other, just because we all wanted there to do well in this assignment and to be able to help those kids succeed in whatever they plan on doing in life. As well as punctuality and feedback. We were all on time every time for every assignment, and the feedback, we were all very adept when it came to talking to each other and seeing who could help in what way and how they could benefit, or in which way they were talking or teaching the class that day.
Hello, my name is Thomas Bronner, and I just want to start off by saying an apology for the video seeming a little different. At this point, I was actually unable to be with my group at the time that they filmed. There was no time that worked for us this week. In terms of our communication and decision-making style for our service learning project, we use a delegation and analytical decision-making style to make uniform decisions. A lot of our group members were logistical, and so when we would come to trying to make a decision, we would use a very analytical approach, and we would delegate tasks very well. Aside from when we were in class as a group, our communication method was mainly written through text messages and emails specifically. And the reason why we did this was because we felt that it was a tangible and verifiable in case of discrepancies. So we felt that, if we forgot something, or if in the case that there was a discrepancy between one of us in what task we were delegated, we would be able to verify that within the email or the text message because it was written down instead of just a word of mouth communication style. And lastly, as far as what we've learned dealing with communication decision making in the group, each member related differently to the kids. So some people were good at small groups while others were good at speaking in a more lecture style, and so we try to utilize our strengths in that way to be specific for that person who was teaching. So if the person was good at teaching in small groups, we would definitely break the kids up into small groups. And that is the communication and decision making for our service learning project.
One of the first things that I learned with our group was the diversity of leadership styles. The two main leadership styles were authentic leaders and servant leaders. The group functioned very smoothly because of all the diversity. The servant leadership style was very effective because during the school year we were all very busy, and having people that were putting others before themselves was helpful. What we learned from each other's different leadership styles were that leaders are most effective when the whole group accepts their leadership role and their leadership style. We also learned that groups function best when the leader is able to place all the group members in a position that is enjoyable.
The service learning project combined all 4 APU cornerstones. For scholarship, we had to understand what we were taught, not only as scholars, but then we had to impart that to our students, turning them into scholars. For the community, we were able to come together as a team whilst working in the community itself. That ties into the service aspect of this, because while this was for class, it was an active service to go and pour into these students and teach them and try to empower them with some knowledge. What's more, we got to represent Christ in our actions as we went forth loving and intelligently with APU. As a team, our strengths were that we complemented each other very well. Our communication functioned very well with minimal noise. We did everything via texting, so there were records and we could instantly get in touch with each other, and that we got along really well. Our weaknesses, however, were that we could have managed our time a bit better. We could have planned a bit better, so we didn't do everything quite as off the cuff as we did. And as well as we got on together, a different mix of personalities, namely having people who were more people-oriented rather than task-oriented, might have helped us along. Our group strategy, however, was that we were self-managed, highly decentralized, and incredibly flat, and we delegated everything based on ability and desire, and therefore used work specialization as a team strategy, and that actually worked really, really well for us. But as a team, if we had met a bit more frequently, if we had been a little less analytical in our task orientation and focused more on the human aspect of it, that too would have improved our performance. But as a whole, this was an excellent learning experience for all of us, and we hope that it was too for the kids.